The penultimate episode of the first season of Ronan Bennett's MobLand saw what could be the beginning of the end of the Harrigan crime empire play out, as the betrayal and deception reached a fever pitch. The second favor Harry called into the powerful and mysterious Cat McAllister came to fruition, as Conrad came face to face with cartel boss Jamie Lopez. Naturally, the Harrigan patriarch antagonized him in true Conrad fashion. As it stands, a deal may still move forward, but only if Harry is able to purge the Harrigan household of the rat in its midst. Kevin was conspicuously absent from the negotiations, as he was finally able to confront his former jailer and tormentor, Rusby. His wife also managed to sneak away from the Harrigan manor to further her own shady plans. Finally, Jan's friend Alice, the informant who now works for Colin Tattersall after the deaths of Fisk and Mukasa at the end of episode 8, showed up to the manor to attend dinner at Conrad's invite. The meal imploded with a massive reveal, and was interrupted by a tactical squadron with air support that saw Conrad and Maeve end up in handcuffs, what Conrad and Maeve are arrested for at the end of MobLand Season 1, Episode 9. Their murderous ways finally caught up to them. Conrad and Maeve Harrigan at Tommy Stevenson's wake. Tattersall sent Alice into Conrad's manor with a listening device planted in her phone as opposed to a wire, which was far too risky to her well-being given how easily it could be discovered. She never got a full admission of guilt or confirmation of any kind of criminal activity in the brief time she was there, but that wasn't ever her true goal. She was there to collect DNA from either Conrad, Maeve, or both if possible, to help get them convicted. They were arrested on suspicion of murder, meaning the police had no concrete evidence yet. Alice's plan to plant DNA of Conrad and Maeve explained. The police informant had experience putting criminals away. Alice and Jan D.A. Souza in MobLand, Emily Barber and Joanne Froggatt. However, Alice and Tattersall's ultimate plan was to create the evidence that they needed to put Conrad and Maeve away for good. Tattersall revealed that he knew that Alice, whose real name is evidently Nicola, had, on 2 occasions, taken money to help plant DNA evidence to set people up who may or may not have been criminals. The implication is that both Tattersall and Alice and Nicola are okay with bending the rules to get people properly convicted, which is the foundation of their plan for the Harrigans: get them arrested, then manufacture evidence to get them locked up. The interesting wrinkle in that plan is that Tattersall is working directly with Richie Stevenson, who is actually the one pulling the strings. He has no intention of allowing Conrad and Maeve to rot away in a jail cell. Richie wants Colin to get them into a jail of any kind so that he can then murder them himself. With the blood of both his son and wife on Conrad and Maeve's hands, Richie was more than willing to partner with a corrupt investigator like Tattersall to exact his revenge once and for all. What the song Conrad and Maeve sing in MobLand Season 1, Episode 9's ending is. The Irish folk ballad rings of freedom and independence. Helen Mirren as Maeve Harrigan and Pierce Brosnan as Conrad Harrigan quietly talking together in MobLand. As they are being hauled out of their home, Maeve joyously breaks into song, and is soon after joined by Conrad. The song they sing in unison as they're loaded into police cruisers is an old Irish folk ballad titled 20 Men from Dublin, originally written by Arthur Griffith in the early 20th century. The song refers to the Irish guerrilla insurrectionists who fought the British Crown in the Irish Rebellion of 1798, and was a famous battle song in Ireland that Maeve and Conrad would have grown up on. For them, it's a declaration of defiance against the police. What was going on with Serafina at the dinner? She was as combative as we've ever seen her. Mandeep Dhillon as Serafina Harrigan looking shocked in MobLand. With her confidence restored after her grueling encounter with Jamie Lopez, Serafina essentially acts as her father's right hand at dinner. Conrad initially invited Alice to dinner because he was suspicious of her intentions. Maeve even outright asks him if he suspects her of being an informant earlier in the episode when they are in their sauna together. However, it isn't Conrad who grills Alice to discover more about her intentions, it's Serafina. It's proof of her unquestionable loyalty to her father, who loves her the most of all his children. Why did Maeve tell the police about Archie? The Harrigan matriarch is a true agent of chaos. Helen Mirren as Maeve Harrigan holding a martini glass in MobLand. Maeve's ultimate objective has been obscured for most of the first season of MobLand, but that obfuscation now seems intentional on the show's part. Maeve may not actually have a concrete plan aside from creating chaos that lands at Conrad's feet. She's doing everything she can to endanger his position and destabilize him in general, which she essentially admits to as they brandish sharp objects at each other just before being arrested. She told the police about Archie because she knew it would turn up the heat on Conrad, plain and simple. Who is the rat that Harry has found? It hasn't been totally confirmed, but now it seems obvious. Tom Hardy as Harry D.A. Souza in MobLand. Harry killed Freddy in Episode 8 after learning the identity of Richie Stevenson's rat in the Harrigans' criminal organization, and while it wasn't openly confirmed in Episode 9, it was made fairly clear based on context. After Harry learns that the deal with Jamie Lopez is on if the rat in the Harrigan house is dealt with, Harry quickly makes a call to the Harrigan's lawyer, Ahara Delaney, Lisa Dwan. When Serafina asks what he's doing, he claims he's dealing with something fast. He confirms the deal with Jamie is on, promoting Ahara to opine that Archie was right about leaving fentanyl to Richie. That all but confirms that it was actually her working with Richie, and Harry seems to have only been confirming what Freddie told him. He asks Ahara to meet him in the morning to go over things, and chances are good that Ahara won't leave that meeting if she shows up. What to expect from MobLand's finale? There are a ton of threads to wrap up or progress. There are still so many balls in the air at the end of episode 9 that there's no way they can resolve everything in just one more episode. The plan certainly seems to be for MobLand to at least get a second season, if not more. The catch will of course be the fact that the high-profile cast will be difficult to line up schedule-wise, but the runaway success of the streaming hit makes a green light for Season 2 seem inevitable. At the very least, the season finale should wrap up a few key plot points, the biggest of which is certainly what happens to Conrad and Maeve. Harry also has a meeting set with Kat, presumably to discuss the first favor that he owes her. It seems likely that Bella's plan involving a Syrian arms dealer, the Home Secretary, her father, and Antoine will be revealed, although it may end poorly for her given Harry's constant warnings against her involvement. We may see Jan hit her breaking point after the armed police raid she and her daughter were forced to endure as a byproduct of her husband's job. The season finale of MobLand will certainly be explosive, and it seems safe to expect a hefty body count.